Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
He's at the 20.
They should stop this one.
What you got? Domination, snot bubbles.
He throws, complete, touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack Crumpler, what a throw, what a hit, what a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes, touchdown. Jalen Hurts, touchdown. A.J. Brown, a run. He's going to score.
It's a touchdown by Nick Foles. The train is in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Torrey Smith
In for the touchdown is Jefferson. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
So with everything finally starting to heat up in the offseason with the Birds, and with it being just 44 more days until the boys host the Cry Girls for their banner drop on week 1, we're finally about to be in for some major news. Because with training camp just next week and the excitement of some of the rookies like defensive tackle Ty Robinson from Nebraska, safety from Texas Drew Makuba, and linebacker from Bama Jahad Campbell, we'll be keeping an eye on these rookies for sure. And we're about to talk about some of the second-year starters in Philly and some of their expectations coming into the 2025 season. Especially after rookie Drew Makuba got a little praise from Smitty in a recent interview.
Any rookie that has stood out to you during the OTAs and
The guy from was it Texas, the safety. Yeah. I couldn't say his name. So.
The safety position in Philly is up for grabs, and with the defense already going young, Makuba will have an opportunity to start. And we've seen our younger secondary come into Fangio's scheme and system and fit right in. Fangio's scheme is more about knowledge than it is about pure physicality and talent, which is why Quinyon and Coop were able to successfully get a starting job in the early weeks of the season. And the physicality between both rookies last season was there. We knew they were tough and had grit. The question was, were they going to have the knowledge on the field and be cognizant of the situations that they were going to be in, facing off against some of the premier receivers in the league? And the same was said about first-year starters like Zach Bond, linebacker, who Vic Fangio and Howie gambled on and made him an all-pro linebacker. Bond turned out to be the perfect fit for Fangio's quarter scheme, and he understood the schemes in his first season. The physicality of Makuba is already there, and we know that I loved him coming out of college, in which he was a hard-hitting safety, but he'll be asked to use his brain more than his physicality out there, more than his heavy hitting. Fangio is going to ask a lot of him. The expectations will be high. I mean, with two high safeties, they're definitely going to be asked to do a lot. And are the generals of the defense, I would say so. I'm really hoping that the Rook can turn heads in camp, especially once he's used in different sets and, coverages. And if he can get out there in week 1 of training camp and take full advantage of the opportunities given, he'll most likely become one of the starting safeties for the Birds. But that's not counting out Sidney Brown, because he's entering his 3rd year in Philly. How time flies. Brown is on the list of one of the guys that has some pressure going into this season. Not to say that he isn't a good player, but he's shown some promise before the injury in 23 and shown a small sample size on special teams last season. But there were a lot of missed tackles in his rookie year at the safety position, in which we can remember the entire defense having tackling issues that year. But we had just gotten rid of CJ, GJ, and similar to now, the safety position had a question mark on it. Brown will definitely have some competition going into camp this season, with McCullum and Drew Makuba eyeing that position, safety position as well. Now we have to shift to some more unimportant news, but news anyway. Jeremy Fowler released his list of top 10 QBs after speaking with execs, scouts, and GMs. And what do you know? Jalen Hurts ranked at number 9. Not top 3, not top 5, but number 9. And no Eagles fan is surprised by this. I mean, how could a guy who's 52-23 in his career in wins, 14-1 against the AFC, with a higher winning percentage than all of his peers in the last 3 years, with the Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl win, and MVP in the last 3 seasons, defeating the number 1 quarterback in the NFL in the Super Bowl game, and outperforming that same quarterback in both the win and the loss, not be a top 5 quarterback. all of those, and he's still not a top 5 quarterback. I mean, obviously, we don't care. I don't care to argue these points anymore with anyone. If you think Hurts is a top 5 guy, then that's just your opinion. Men lie, women too, but numbers don't. Saying all of that, our guys competing in Super Bowls, and the other guys are trying to get there. To me, that's all that matters. Now, the Eagles have training camp next week, and I've been gone for quite some time, but the news has been short in terms of what's been going on in the NovaCare facility. We've honestly been gearing up for training camp, and I'm even more excited about the preseason so we can get a good look at the rookies, especially guys like former Panthers wide receiver Terrace Marshall, who's expected to have a good camp and earn a spot on the roster. I've been hearing nonstop speculation about this guy, and I think it's all positive. I think the Birds are pretty set. The chemistry between Hurts and guys like Dotson didn't come about until down the stretch, until week 9, so it'll be interesting to see what Marshall has to offer for the wide receiver 3 or 4 spot. And I have to include former 49ers wide receiver Danny Gray, who's also been doing really good in camp. Gray has the ability and the physical attributes to be a dog for Philly, but Gray hasn't had a great introduction to the NFL overall. As a rookie, he only played 13 games and had 1 catch for 10 yards in his second season. He suffered a shoulder injury. He was placed on IR. He was released at Final Cuts last August. Gray was a valued member of the practice squad during the Super Bowl season. And looking at this tape and small amount of film from camp, there's a chance that Gray may earn him a spot also, which definitely wouldn't hurt because we saw Hurts without his 2 primary receivers last year when AJ got hurt and then Devontae Smith got hurt in the Saints game, which caused the offense in terms of the passing game to be a bit weakened, and that was just horrible. And speaking of the wide receiver position, there's a great chance that someone could break out at wide receiver 3. With all of the competition in camp, in addition to Jahan Dotson coming along at the end of the season, the position at wide receiver 3 probably, and I'm saying probably because I think Dotson has it locked up, but probably isn't just a lock yet. Training camp will tell us everything we need to know, but in my opinion, the starter in that spot will most likely be Dotson because of how long it took to finally get him ingrained in the offense. I don't think Patullo will take that away from Hurts, and that will kind of force him to have that chemistry with the receivers that I named previously, like Terrace Marshall or Danny Gray. I think Patullo would probably want to keep that chemistry going with Dotson, keep it going like it was at the end of the year. It was rolling. Let's keep it rolling that same way. And Dotson had some promising performances last season, and he's definitely motivated going into this season because I remember last season, all he asked for was an opportunity to get some catches and show off his ability and skills, and he did. Down the stretch, Dotson and Hurts had more connections in the previous weeks, and I mean connections as in touchdown connections. This guy was letting you know, I am a first-round receiver who was drafted in the first round, and I can make plays, just give me an opportunity. And I think this year, him and Hurts will have a much better chemistry and a much better connection. He's a second-year player that I think, a second-year starter that I think is going to have some pressure on him this year, but also is going to have a big season. And there are a couple of Birds who are playing for a contract this season, like Jordan Davis, but we'll get into that in another video, and Reed Blankenship. Reed is one of the survivors left on the defense from the 2022 Super Bowl team. He survived the cuts, waves, and releases, and even after a down season in 23, he definitely held his own overall in Philadelphia. Reed is the clutchest safety in Philly, and if not the clutchest safety in the NFL. And with him being a UDFA who's came to Philadelphia, made a name for himself swiftly for the Birds, also vetting the young Cooper DeJean and forming the exciting Whites, I am definitely hoping that we can get a deal done. Blankenship, I want to see Blankenship in Birds green for another few seasons. It's similar to what Howie said when players come to Philly and they have a large amount of success on the field, and you'll have a large amount of success contractually. And Reed is still in his younger years in terms of age, but has a veteran experience. And for most part, he hasn't disappeared or disappointed, especially with the price of safeties increasing. The market is only growing for that position, and it would be wise for Howie to get in front of that contract before the market grows even more. which I have all the faith in Howard to do that. But Reed is probably set to have a great season, especially now. And with the absence of Darius Slay, Reed will be the leader of the secondary. All eyes on him, and is expected to have a great year, especially now with this leadership role. I'm expecting Reed to have a huge season. I'm expecting Howie to get in front of this contract and get it done. If not this offseason, then most definitely at the beginning of the next offseason in 26. Well, guys, we finally made it to training camp. It's finally here. Offseason is almost to an end. And August 7th, we officially start the preseason against the Bengals. They'll be coming to the link, and we'll get to see all the rookies that I just spoke about and much more shine in the preseason all the way up until September 4th, where we will host the Cry Girls and drop our banner. It's going to be amazing to watch, sensational, beating them on week 1, going 1-0 to start the season. Now, with training camp right around the corner, that means preseason is right around the corner, which also means the news is going to be coming in at a fast rate, and we're going to cover it all. So be sure to subscribe here to Eaglecentric. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do it all. You guys know the routine. Be blessed. Go Birds.